In this video, we're going to assess the canter. And so this horse is trotting, the handler is asking him to canter, and he strikes off with bunny hopping, and soon we can see that he disunites. So the hind limbs change to the left, and then he goes back into trot. Then strikes off again, cantering on the correct lead, and soon then you see that he starts using both hind limbs, and he will break into trot. So that was the overview of the right canter. Let's have a look at the different parts of the horse. We see that most of his weight is on the forelimbs, and that's why you can see him, you can see the croup going high. So the head and neck sometimes are just too low to help with that, to help put more weight on the forelimbs, probably because he has some discomfort on the hind end. The thoracic spine and the lumbar spine are stiff and don't move much, and we see that although he's cantering to the right, his bend is to the left, and so he can't bend properly to the right, and this is probably the reason why he keeps disuniting and changing legs. And because he's not pushing himself forward with the hind limbs, because he's not using them correctly, we can see that he makes big movements with the forelimbs to try and cover the ground that he can't cover with the hind limbs. And we can also see that he's leaning towards the inside of the circle to make it more easy to canter to the right. And then when his right hind strikes the ground, we can see a big accessory movement of the right hock. And now let's have a look on the left side canter. You can see there's difficulty to strike off. He raises his head, and as soon as he goes into canter, he starts again bunny hopping again on this side, because he finds it easier to use both hind limbs together. The head and neck is lowered, and jumping with the forelimbs to make it easier for the hind limbs. The back is stiff and doesn't flex at all, and so is the lumbar spine. So this horse, again on this side, can't collect his hind limbs, putting most of his weight on the forelimbs. As the croup goes high, the back, the thoracic and the lumbar spine go into more extension than they already are. And last, we can see the forelimbs trying really hard to cover some ground. We can see the shoulders working hard to support all this weight that's coming to the front. So, looking at this horse globally on both sides, we can see that it's a horse with a very stiff back in the thoracic and the lumbar spine, and also his pelvis doesn't move as it's supposed to be, so the horse cannot collect and cannot engage his hind limbs. And due to this, he is putting more weight on the forelimbs that have to work harder to cover some ground and at the same time support weight.